Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to Link Up Leaders, your direct link to leaders in supply chain and e-commerce. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm your producer and co-host, and joined as always by Francois Jeffrey. Francois, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Can you hear that siren in the background?
No, can't hear anything.
Okay, good. It just started
Pretty soundproof.
The second that I hit go live, they test I don't know if this is like a universal thing, but in Cherokee County, they test the tornado siren.
I think smaller towns, smaller cities tend to have them.
Well, I don't know what the size requirement is, but ours is tested the first Wednesday of every month. And apparently it happens at noonish. And so I hit go live and then I just hear, I was like, shit.
Yeah, my dad lived in
right now.
a really small town in Maryland, Leonardtown, Maryland, and they would have a siren for everything. So if it was a car crash, it would go off once. If it was a fire, I think it would go off 2 times. So you would hear like the siren go off 2 times. It was again, small town, but you could hear it throughout the entire thing.
Wow.
But yeah, that's why I thought that it was just a smaller town thing, but maybe not.
Ours is specifically, it's just for the tornado siren, and it's tested. I believe it's once a month. I believe it is the first Wednesday of the month. Ryan says, hello, Link Up Leaders team. Good morning, Ryan.
And congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Ryan. We're so excited for your move. I mean, we're sad that crossover commerce is ending, but we're very excited for you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just the tornado siren. Yeah, ours certainly doesn't go off like every time there's like a car crash or something. That's ridiculous. We have way too many people for that. I grew up in a very populated city. That's why I was like, I wouldn't call this a small town by any means. If anybody's ever been to Woodstock, Georgia, it's not small. But any hoodle, doing well. You said you're doing well as well. Have you had coffee or mushroom coffee today? I almost just said
no mushroom coffee.
That would have been a really bad question.
Kate enjoys the trips to Starbucks. It's it's becoming our morning routine. So we're paying for this overpriced drink that I also have coffee that I make at home because I drink it throughout the day. I'm not paying $6 for a cup of coffee. Come on. So I let her pay for it, and I just go on the ride with her. So.
Do you guys use the app and pre-order, or are you like going in there? I was about to say that's a whole thing if you're like going in.
Yeah. It's very chaotic because there's only one like in this area, and so everyone goes there. It's always completely packed by like 8 a.m. and that's usually where we're going. So yeah, it's just a quick drive down, but it's a good start to the morning. Get out of the house a little bit, take a quick little ride, and pick up some coffee, some overpriced coffee, but coffee nonetheless.
Yeah, I did not do that. I refused to. I was even telling Lesley, I was like, our guest today, I was like, I didn't want to put pants on to have to go to the Starbucks. No, because I don't have the app, because I don't want to enable myself to spend more money there. And I usually only go to Starbucks if I'm sad or if I have gift cards, because I get my sad girl drink there, or if I have a gift card.
Yeah, it's all about convenience. And that's a big topic that we have for today with our leader, Lesley. I mean, Buy with Prime is something that I don't think, like, it's never a thought that's occurred to me of just like, hey, why don't you just take advantage of Amazon's system to buy with Prime and have convenient next day shipping or 2-day shipping? But I'm sure she's going to be able to dive a lot deeper into it. And hopefully for those that are either on Amazon already and thinking about switching things over to be more D2C, if they could take advantage of this, or just brands that are purely D2C that are listening would be able to take advantage of what is a feature, a new product that Amazon's rolling out.
We'll have to ask. I don't know if it's a product as much of it is like an integration, maybe. We'll have to ask. So let's go on ahead and bring our leader of the day, Lesley Hensell with Riverbend Consulting. Lesley, how are you? I like that your branding is actually the correct way, even though I know StreamYard flips the camera around. So that's nice. Yeah, I like that. Is it printed backwards, or did you flip your camera?
Before we got started, it gives you a preview image, and I did the flippy because you're right. If you're on Zoom, it's backward. If you're on StreamYard, it's backward. I always have to make sure that I'm not saying, it's like flying an upside down flag. You don't want to have your branding backward.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying that when you log into StreamYard and it gives you that preview, it gives you an option to flip your camera?
No, I have to go into my camera and flip the camera.
Oh gosh, I was like, if
Oh,
this is a
okay.
feature I've been missing since we started this podcast, I will be so upset. Hold on, we've got Ryan coming in saying something about, did you know that Starbucks has more cash on hand than most banks do due to their
They
app gift cards?
It's kind of
Wow.
like what I read. It was kind of shady. They use some of it to fund. I forgot what it was. It's like they use it as a financial department of theirs where they can loan out money or they can make interest on the money that they have. Where people have credits and Starbucks is making the interest on the credits that they have from their customers. It was something weird. I don't
Playing
remember.
the
We could talk about it
float.
after. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Ryan, hit us with some more fun facts, man. But Lesley, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure that everybody has heard of Riverbend Consulting because I know that I had you
Everywhere,
guys
all
are,
over the place.
yeah, you guys are all over the place. I know that you have a show. You've appeared on a lot of shows as of late that I've seen, or maybe just because we just got connected on LinkedIn. Now you're like every other post coming up on my feed. But definitely seen you at the shows and everything. So welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks so much for having me. So, I am co founder of Riverbend Consulting. We are just shy of 5 years old. We help people to solve Amazon problems. So, that usually means most of our clients come to us when they've been suspended from Amazon or had products taken down from Amazon or just having some other challenging problems. Amazon can be really difficult to work with. So sometimes you have inventory issues, you have shipping issues, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. And communicating with the behemoth of Amazon can be challenging. So we have a staff of 75 people, about 15 of them are ex-Amazonians, which really helps us because we help get the issues in front of the right people at Amazon so that our sellers can sell and make more money.
That is fantastic. And I'm sure it's helpful, not even just having the ex-Amazonians in there because of, I don't know how much they can leverage those connections, but just as you said in our pre-call, knowing kind of the jargon or like what language needs to be used to kind of like secret passwords to get things done within Amazon. Because that's always seems to be the thing. It's like you have to phrase something just exactly right, or you have to call and talk to just the right person on Monday morning when they've had their early bird morning cocktail and they're feeling good.
Yeah, they really do have their own language at Amazon, and there's so many departments, and they're very siloed. And so, anytime you have an organization that's very siloed, it's not just having an Amazon vocabulary, it's the vocabulary for that department and understanding how to get what you need. So, we don't leverage inside connections. We just know how to walk through the different departments of Amazon and get the problem solved. And in addition, I've been a seller on Amazon since 2010. My business partner, Joe Zalta, has been a seller on Amazon for quite a few years as well. So having been in the trenches ourselves with our own money and our own products, I think that helps quite a bit.
Oh, I'm sure that it
We
does.
love to see that. Particularly when you have the experience to know what's wrong and building a business out of it. I mean, that's one of the best businesses that you could build, right? Out of necessity and understanding your customers and your clients. Now, I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into like some of those problems. I know you mentioned there's like shipping, for example. Have you noticed, or I guess, what are some of the biggest problems that you're noticing now that we're sort of in this post-pandemic phase?
Right. So right now, Amazon actually overbuilt its warehouses, which is pretty shocking considering at the beginning of the pandemic, they just didn't have enough space. And then they
Mm,
were in an absolute frenzy to build out and build out and build out. There were all of these limits on inventory. You couldn't get your inventory in. It was very frustrating for a lot of sellers. Now, all of a sudden, Amazon actually has too much space. Because of that, we're seeing a lot of transshipping going on. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish on their back end. I've seen some in the press that they're talking about subleasing some of their warehouses. So I think they may be doing some consolidation and some transshipping of inventory. And when that happens, sometimes your products aren't available for a while because they're being moved from one place to another. So we've had quite a few clients with problems with that. Amazon reserves the right to transship, and 30 days is the SLA for that. When you go over 30 days, though, that's when I have an opportunity to go in and holler and say, hey, this isn't cool. My stuff isn't available for sale. Also, a very long time problem that we're seeing a lot of right now is reimbursements. So that's where Amazon loses your inventory, damages your inventory, doesn't receive your inventory, whatever flavor it is. You shipped stuff in and it isn't there, or it's damaged, or it's been thrown away, or it was shipped to someone and they returned it and it wasn't credited back to your account. Well, that's always an issue. And we actually have a reimbursement service for that. There's a lot of people out there who do reimbursements, but it's funny, the numbers have really been ticking up lately. And usually we only see that right after peak. So right after, when there's all this frenzy of shipping in product and then a lot of returns in December, you see an uptick in reimbursements for January and February, and then it kind of slows down again until Prime Day comes up. Right now, we're still seeing really strong numbers, which tells me there's a lot of movement and cleaning out going on at Amazon. So it's something for sellers to really be aware of, because if you're not working it on those reimbursements, you're probably missing out on more money than you even usually would be.
Oh, yeah. And can you break down what transshipping is? I'm sorry for anybody who doesn't know.
Oh, sorry. See, I get sucked in by all my people and we use this vocabulary and everyone's like, what are you talking about? So transshipping just means when Amazon is moving your stuff from one fulfillment center to another fulfillment center.
Okay.
And you know, a lot of folks, if you're shipping in a large quantity, you're shipping it into one warehouse, and then they're breaking up those pallets, breaking up those cartons, and they're shipping it out all over the country so that they can achieve that 2-day shipping promise for Prime members. So if they're not moving it out to 10 different warehouses, they cannot meet that promise. Now, even if you are I call it left, right, and center shipping. It's where you say, hey, Amazon, I want to send you this stuff. And they say, you're going to send to this warehouse in the east, to this warehouse in the west, and this warehouse central, which is usually how it goes. Even then, they're going to break that stuff up further and transship it to different warehouses. Now, at peak, not so much. At peak, they're just going to eat it on the shipping and pay more for the speed and get it out. But the rest of the year, they're going to break it up, put it on trucks, and send it to the different warehouses.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
But the more your stuff moves, the more opportunity for it to get lost, right?
Oh, definitely. That's like the game of telephone, or just like anytime you just move a bunch of Francois is about to move, he'll find this. You know, you packed something in a box and that box made it to the car, but now where is the thing? How did it, where did it go?
At a much larger scale. Yeah, no, I'm sure. But is this transshipping, is there anything that an Amazon seller could do to try to avoid, not necessarily the transshipping, but I guess all of this rearranging? Like, is it better to go with a left, right center than it would be to go with just a single fulfillment center? Or safer?
Not necessarily. They'll find ways to lose your stuff no matter what you do. And a lot of people actually pay for placement. They will pay extra so that they can send everything to one warehouse. Because usually you save a lot on your shipping when you ship it that way, so you're better off. The solution on this is really a defensive one. You just really have to watch your quantities and either have someone on your staff who can file for reimbursements or have a service do it for you. And if someone wants to do this and they don't want to use me, they can reach out and I will name 5 other people who will do it for you, because you've got to get your money back from Amazon. People think that because a reimbursement occasionally pops up in your reconciliation, they think, oh, Amazon's got me. They're reimbursing me. No. It's like 20%. It's like 20% probably at the best of what you should be getting back. And especially on inbound shipments. If you ship stuff inbound and they don't receive it, they never go back and say, oh, oopsie, we should credit you for that. That never happens. You have to file and make sure you get the money.
Goodness
gracious. And so where does that money, I guess, how do they calculate the money? Is it just the cost of the value of the product on Amazon.com, or do they factor in the shipping cost, lost sales potential? I guess, what can you get reimbursed?
So you get the net as though you sold the product.
Okay.
So whatever they're going to take out the fees you would have paid Amazon, the FBA pick and pack, the referral fee, all of it. They're going to remove the fees as if you sold it, and you get the same net that you would have gotten if it had actually been sold. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. This is not the reimbursements episode, Francois. Hold on.
Yeah.
On to the topic.
But this all actually does relate to some points I want to touch on when we talk about this new Buy with Prime service that you have.
Yeah. And what is it? Because somebody actually mentioned they began to like outline what Buy with Prime was in our discussion, but they didn't label it as that. And then when you and I had our call, you were like, do you know what Buy with Prime is? I was like, no, what is that? And then you started explaining. I was like, oh, someone said this on a podcast the other day. So what is Buy with Prime?
So just as a warning, there are a few details that they still have not released. So
Okay.
I know quite a bit, but there's a few things that they haven't told us yet. So
this is new.
This is very new.
Okay.
And they're starting with a small group, and then people are going to be able to apply, and eventually anyone who wants in is going to get in. They're just piloting right now. But what it is where if you have a D2C website, you have a Shopify site, you are selling your stuff directly. You're a brand, you're selling directly to the public. You can add Amazon payments to your site, and you can add Buy with Prime. So what it means is that if I'm a Prime member and I come to your site, my purchase is made through Amazon payments, and then they fulfill the order. So the seller has sent a few hundred units, a few thousand units, depends on your volume, to the Amazon fulfillment centers. And once the buyer clicks to make that purchase, Amazon takes care of all the fulfillment and the returns.
So when you say it's handled by Amazon payments, doesn't Amazon have something called like Amazon Pay? Like there's like Apple Pay or Google Pay?
Yes. So you would add, when you add however they're going to code this in, whether it's some kind of a widget you add or whatever you're adding, or just a payment method that you're adding to your website, you're going to use Amazon Pay for that checkout. Okay. So just like, sometimes you have the option, you've got credit card, you've got PayPal, and then there will be an option for Amazon Pay that you can click and make that purchase. And then if you're a member, you will get that Buy with Prime 2-day shipping.
Okay. But you have to use the Amazon Pay. So like if I just as myself have an Amazon Prime account, which I do, and I go to buy something off of a Shopify site, but I choose the credit card as my payment method, I then wouldn't receive the Prime shipping.
I'm assuming there's going to be a login function.
Okay.
Kind of like when you go to PayPal, when you use PayPal and, it redirects you and you log into your PayPal account and it directs you back to the site and you complete the purchase. Right. I'm assuming it's going to look something like that, because you're going to have to log in with your Amazon Prime membership so that you get the benefit. Because if you're not a Prime member, you can't get the 2-day fulfillment.
Got it. Okay.
So I think there's a ton to decompress here. For starters, do you have to own that product inventory within Amazon? Or for example, can drop shippers just list whatever they find on Amazon on their own site and use Amazon Pay?
So this is going to be for a brand owner. This will be segregated inventory in an Amazon fulfillment center. It is going to, so let's say you're already a seller on Amazon, right? And you have your units that you're selling Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. They're already shipping. You're going to segregate and say, okay, I've got 2,000 units at the fulfillment center. I want 500 of them over here for my Buy with Prime program, and the other 1,500 are for FBA, right? And so then Amazon is fulfilling out of that segregated inventory. So it is not could a drop shipper abuse your website and go in and do this? Yes, I'm sure they could, just like they do right now on the Amazon.com website. Drop shippers do the same thing every single day. I will tell you, if you're a drop shipper doing that and you are using Prime, and Amazon finds you using Prime to fulfill orders, you will be suspended. You will never get your account back, and you will never get your funds, because you cannot use Prime shipping to drop ship fulfill orders.
Okay.
No matter what platform you're doing it on, whether it's Amazon to Amazon flips or you're somewhere else doing the same thing, if you're using your Prime account to fulfill drop shipped orders, they will figure that out, and they will shut down your buyer account and or your seller account.
Interesting.
Okay. So this has to be the brand owner.
So it's the brand owner, and then people making purchases from the brand owner, and the inventory fulfilling it out of the Amazon FCs.
Okay. And Ryan actually dropped a great resource in the comments. Thank you, Ryan. It is buywithprime.amazon.com. Looks like they've got a site giving a lot of great information. They talked about Buy with Prime a few weeks ago. It is a must watch in this space. So who's eligible to use Buy with Prime then? Like you said, it's for a select group of folks right now. Who can take advantage of it?
So right now they are in, or at least they've started out in invitation mode, but they are allowing people to apply to ask to be included. And they're saying that ultimately anyone will be able to use the program. So you don't have to be a current Amazon seller with inventory sitting in the fulfillment centers. You can be I'm a never Amazon seller. I don't want to sell on Amazon, but I want to use Amazon's fulfillment center network and their shipping services to get my products out for me instead of using a 3PL. That's essentially what it is. Amazon becomes your 3PL, and except their, the fee structure is different. The way you ship the inventory is different, and you're having to use their checkout.
Okay. And so, but once they, if they aren't an Amazon seller and they're I don't want to be, but I just want to use advantage of this, and it's either a segmented, set of inventory, like you said, or it's the only inventory that they have with Amazon, because it's then in an Amazon fulfillment center, is it subject to like IPI? Do they then have to meet the inventory requirements of Amazon, even though they're not Amazon sellers, but they're in an Amazon fulfillment center?
So that I don't know. That's not details that they've released yet.
Okay.
I don't think anyone is going to have problems with quantity for a while because of the excess space available. In fact, I would argue that part of the impetus behind this program is that they realized that they were going to have a lot of extra space and they want to fill it up. So if there are people out there who are resistant to Amazon FBA, who really want to sell through their own website, why not capture that portion of the market and use up the unused space in their warehouses? Now, I'm sure it's like any other seller on Amazon. If you have inventory that sits for a long time, your fees rise. So you're going to have storage fees, short-term and long-term. If your stuff sits there too long, there is no way they're not going to apply that same fee structure to someone who's using their Buy with Prime program. So you can't just say, I'm just going to ship all my inventory to Amazon, let it sit there, and it takes 2 years to sell through. Oh, well, I mean, you're going to eat it on the fees in that case, right? So they're still going to have the same structure in place to make sure they aren't just being used as cheap storage. But for right now, I would expect that being able to stock up enough so you can sell properly probably isn't going to be an issue.
Okay. And then talking about that inventory and thinking back to when you were saying something about reimbursements, are those now two different kinds of reimbursements that you can get back through them if they are missing a few units of your segmented Shopify stuff? I mean, is that kind of what leads into that? I may be wrong here. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yes. So there are some really obvious benefits to using Amazon as your 3PL because they are just really good at fulfillment, right? I mean, they can get stuff out so fast. I order things that show up in 6 hours to my house. That makes no sense. Think back to a decade ago. Would you even have thought that was a thing?
No, definitely not.
It's
2-day shipping wouldn't have been a thing.
No. And people are so impatient also that this creates a real advantage for people who before were doing their own fulfillment. Say you're small and you're trying to grow. It doesn't make sense to use a 3PL if you've got 100 units. They don't want that business, right? So you're either shipping it yourself Or, hey, this is a great option, right? I can get 2-day shipping for my stuff. My competitors can't do that. I can grow. There's so many great advantages. There is a flip side, though, and that is that Amazon is not always easy to work with. So thing number one, if you are sending them your inventory for fulfillment as your 3PL through Buy with Prime, you're going to have lost, non-received, and damaged inventory. And unlike a 3PL, most 3PLs, they really want your business and they are working with you as a partner. And if they lose your stuff, they tell you, or you audit it and they reimburse you, or, balance it out on your books, and you don't have to fight with them because they see you as a partner. Amazon doesn't see anyone as a partner.
Yeah.
That's just not how they work, right? The buyer is everything, the end. And so I think that people need to just understand that it's not as easy as, hey, lost my stuff, give me my money. They ask for proof. You have to file cases, you have to follow up. And also, if there are issues with things like transshipping, there is a bureaucracy you're going to have to deal with. If they aren't fulfilling your orders in a way that you like, there is a bureaucracy to deal with. So I got to give you an example of that because it's so bad. I have a client who sells candles, and they're the really large candles, kind of like a Yankee Candle. It's a different brand, but large candles like that are poured into glass.
Okay.
Amazon was shipping those suckers out in padded envelopes.
That's risky business. That's playing with fire.
Oh my gosh. No.
So for every ASIN, it pulls up, for the pick and pack team, it pulls up prep guidance and it tells them how to prep. And they follow that prep guidance, the size of the envelope, the size of the box, what they do. And the candles were bubble wrapped. And so my client thought they'd go in a box.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue my client wasn't doing good prep anyway. They should have put them in their own box and bubble wrap if they actually wanted these things to survive. But regardless, by Amazon standards, they were accepting them and then putting them in a padded envelope. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And you really have to make sure that your products are being fulfilled properly. So if you have something that is subject to damage and you've got to do some test buys, make sure it's actually being fulfilled the way it's supposed to be fulfilled. And if not, fight through the bureaucracy to get them to change the prep guidance. So that's just one example. I want people to know, I do believe that especially if you're small and you want to offer D2C, but you do not have prep capabilities and you don't want to go with a 3PL because you're too small for that, this is such a great option. But just don't think it's like a set it and forget it, because that is not what this is. Amazon will sell it as a set it and forget it. But as someone who works with clients who use Amazon every day and Amazon's fulfillment centers every day, that is just not reality.
Well, and how did your client even become notified that this was just being put in an envelope? Was that just based off of like bad reviews and returns? Or is there something on the back end where they can see that prep guidance? Because Francois and I have never been sellers, so we've never seen like the back end of things.
Yeah,
but you being a seller, they don't show you that? Nothing?
They don't show you the prep guidance. So it was all based on feedback, reviews, and messages.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
And people are like, this is coming smashed. It's coming in an envelope. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And of course the client's like, well, that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would argue maybe a branded box to put it in, and then they ship it however they ship it. But you're right. That doesn't seem.
Well, that's why it's. For example, we have a RFQ, or request for quotation guideline, on our sourcing and supply chain side for Noviland. And on that, one very big portion is packaging. And it's whether that's D2C, whether that's going into a store, whether that's you need everything in a master carton. It's one of the most vital parts to your product, right? We had someone that was selling shelves at one point, and they were very beautiful constructed shelves, but they were in a certain shape. Don't want to give too many details out. But, the alternative was to have an RTA ready to assemble, and that way you could get that box down. Well, when you ship a wooden shelf that's held together by nails all the way from China into Amazon, and then obviously they're transshipping, and then they're sending it to the customers. Well, that's really, really risky business. I mean, they were arriving just like your candles. I'm sure they were just damaged, and I think they even put those into a larger box. With the larger box, it was just shaking and rattling inside. So, I mean, it's to anyone that's listening, if you're not auditing your product and your packaging, I highly recommend doing that. Do it with the test buys for Amazon. But I mean, think about your customers, right? They get a box, or the UPS driver, the FedEx driver, they see the box, they had a bad day, they toss it on the doorstep. That's part of the testing that we do, even at our offices. It's so important. But I did want to touch on a very big part. I think that might come to mind for D2C sellers or new D2C sellers that are moving from Amazon onto their own Shopify site is compliance. Is there anything that you need to be aware of when it comes to compliance on their listing when they're using Buy with Prime on their Shopify listing?
That is such a great question because there are two possible problems. The first possible problem is hazmat. So Amazon has limited storage space for hazardous materials. And if you have not used a 3PL before or any kind of shipping service or Amazon, you may not even realize that your product has some hazmat issues. If it does have hazmat issues, they may not be able to store it, or they will only store it in small quantities, or the shipping to the Amazon fulfillment center becomes extremely expensive depending upon the hazmat classification. Then the second thing, which you're probably referring more to, is when Amazon considers something a restricted product, they will not allow for it to be on their site or for their payment system to be used to sell it. So for example, we've had clients before who on their own site, on their own website, they were using Amazon payments, but they were selling something Amazon considered a restricted product. So they suspended Amazon payments. So that might be, for example, vaping accessories, hemp products that Amazon thinks aren't really hemp. So CBD, anything CBD, they will not allow to be sold on their site. They also are not going to allow it in their warehouses, and they're not going to allow payments to be used for it. So you could have a catalog. Let's say that you decided Amazon's going to be my 3PL. They're going to handle it all. And you upload a catalog of 10 items, you ship it all to them, and there's one item not in compliance. There's one CBD product that gets through somehow. Then they could suspend that service for all of your products. You're going to have to pay to pull it all out of their warehouse because they're just not going to have any part of that. So yeah, anything that you think might not fit their guidelines, really give it a second thought. There's weapons that they don't allow that you would think would be okay, and accessories for weapons that aren't even really violating their rules, but then their bots will kind of sweep them up. So an example might be there are these things that you can put, like it's like between your mattress and your box spring in your bed, and it hangs down, and it's to put a gun in.
Oh yeah,
for like nighttime defense, right?
Yeah, like a bedside holster.
Yes. So that doesn't violate any rules, but those products get suspended all the time, and we have to fight to get them back up. So that's an example of something that you could get caught in this wheel of bureaucracy because they think you're selling a gun or gun parts when it's really not anything violating any of their rules or any laws at all. So yeah, you do have to be really careful of what you decide you're going to sell using Buy with Prime, because I think it could turn into just an administrative nightmare if you have anything that's on the edge. And what's funny is what's on the edge. See, this is where I feel so bad for my clients sometimes because they'll tell someone that they got suspended from Amazon or a product got suspended. And then other people who don't know Amazon think that, oh, they were doing something bad. They must have been doing something really wrong. They were ripping people off. They were selling illegal products. There are times when you are just operating a good business and doing everything the right way, and things get taken down and it's really unfair. So I don't want to make it seem like if you're doing bad stuff, don't use Amazon. That's not it. You can be doing things that are perfectly okay, and the bots at Amazon will just pop you up and think that there's something shady going on.
But that's a really great question, because I'm sure that there have been, e-commerce business owners that are selling something that maybe Amazon doesn't allow, like, holsters and things of that nature, and they go to Shopify, and they might not realize that they still have to follow that compliance, even if they're wanting to use the buy with Prime. Because I can hear them now be like, I found a loophole. Like, no.
Well, that was actually also part of my question. Like, if their Amazon listing, for example, is fully Amazon compliant, they've removed any potential words, any displays or pictures that might show this for guns, anything that might flag them, right? Can they turn around and put that on their Shopify listing? Can they call out specifically that this is a gun holster? And would Amazon detect that?
So it shouldn't cause a problem, but it still could. And the hang up here is all about Amazon Pay. Okay. So Amazon Pay follows a lot of the same rules and restrictions as being on Amazon.com. So we've had people as clients before who weren't actually Amazon sellers. They only used Amazon Pay on their website and got taken down for selling Confederate merchandise or selling things with pictures of marijuana leaves. Both of those are not allowed on Amazon. They thought since they weren't on Amazon, it wasn't a problem. And somehow, y'all just think of the technology on this. Somehow the bots went out and crawled the sites that are using Amazon payments, and there you go. Amazon Pay took you down. And the site's still active. It just doesn't have that payment option.
Right.
That's nuts. Yeah. Because I've seen, we were working pretty closely on our sourcing side in the marijuana industry with a lot of the accessories actually a few years back. And the loopholes that they have to find to make it like a pepper grinder, for example, and list that on Amazon. No one's buying one of those little grinders and grinding up.
No, it's oregano. Didn't you know?
It's oregano. I definitely wanted to have that clarified before a seller, goes in, uses Buy with Prime, and potentially have their account suspended, their inventory held, what they're holding aside, and their Amazon listing, or do they treat them completely separately?
So I would expect it to be treated separately. However, I will tell you that let's say you sell on Amazon UK and you sell on Amazon.com, and your Amazon.com account gets taken down. Sometimes after a little time passes, your UK account can come down too. Sometimes it won't. I would expect the same kind of relationship issues could take down a Buy with Prime account, or have your Buy with Prime account take down your .com account if they thought that the violation was severe enough or something that could like spread like a virus across the two. You make a great point with the grinders. They finally figured it out. Right. For years, people were selling grinders with all of these funny keywords, and Amazon could not get them off the platform. And now they've gotten really good at it. They must have written an algorithm specifically for grinders, and they finally got almost all of them are down. And when one gets live, they're taking it down pretty quickly. That's considered paraphernalia, no matter what you call it. And so that's why they take them down. So if you put those same items over on a Shopify store and you used Amazon payments and Buy with Prime, oh my goodness, they're going to suspend that so fast.
And so just sort of thinking about that post-purchase, since they handle returns, how is that process overall handled? Do you need to have that directly integrated with your Shopify site, or do they need to go to their Amazon account and the customers? Do they need to go to their Amazon Prime account and trigger the return there?
So I am assuming, and from conversations I've had, it sounds like they're going to go log into their Amazon account. It'll show it as a purchase, and they can initiate the return. And then Amazon is going to handle that, take it to your UPS store or ship it back to us, process, and have it sent back to them. right? Or Kohl's. Another thing to be aware of for sellers who had not used Amazon before is that Amazon's return grading is the worst returns grading on planet Earth. This is another area where if you compared a 3PL to Amazon, the 3PL will probably win every time if they are at all worth their salt, because they really care about making sure that they grade your returns properly and put it into sellable or unsellable, fulfillable or unfulfillable, right? 3PLs care about you because they have a relationship. Amazon does not care about your relationship. They're like, they've got way too many boyfriends and girlfriends and they don't need you. So their returns grading in the warehouse is done under pressure. These people have enormous time pressure and they do a terrible job. And so they will resell items like, how about high-end hair curling appliances with hair in them?
Ooh, that's gross.
Or how about, I'm sure y'all saw the news story with the waffle irons with waffles in them.
No.
Moldy.
No.
I had a client who had coffee makers returned with coffee grounds that got moldy and were resold.
Oh, that's gross.
Oh my gosh.
We've seen that with water bottles too, where it's they were getting the seller was getting a lot of returns from the returned water bottles as used, sold as new. And obviously these are all coming straight from manufacturers. They're not used. I mean, they're all brand new, but they were restocking them, used water bottles, restocking them dirty and selling them as is. Yeah, that's a huge problem. That's disgusting. Actually, I feel like that's a health violation.
So there are a couple of fixes, if you want to call it that, for people. If you sell products that are at higher risk of upsetting people, right? This is essentially what you need to know is how upset is someone going to get this used item from you? Because y'all, if I'm buying a replacement phone case and it looks like it may have been opened, I'm not that upset. But if it's mouthwash, I'm pretty darn angry, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm basing that on my own experience where I did buy mouthwash that was missing part of the cap from Amazon. So yeah. So if this is you and you have one of these riskier products, we recommend that you put seals on the boxes or however it is you're shipping, and it has magic words on it. If seal is broken, item is not new. Now, you are not saying that to the buyer. That message is not for your buyer. That message is for the guy or gal in the Amazon fulfillment center who is handling the returns. Because they will see that and see the seal is broken. Oh, item is not new. Okay, I'm throwing that in the used pile. I'm putting that over in unfulfillable because you do not want them sending out your stuff. The other thing that we recommend to people is that when you send, if you have inventory that you're concerned about this, which is just about everything, and when you restock, you're going to restock with a different SKU. So all inventory at Amazon, you have a SKU that's the identifier for that shipment, for that ASIN, that item that you're sending in. So if you change the SKU, then when you know you've sold out or close to selling out of your last batch, you're going to close that SKU and it's inactive. And then the new SKU is active. So if people keep sending returns, or if you think the returns that you have are being kind of recycled over and over and they're icky from the feedback you're getting, that's shutting that down. It's all going in unfulfillable and you're pulling those suckers out.
Okay.
And you issue what's it called? For them to ship it back to you, right?
A removal order.
A removal order. And should you do that, or should you just have them destroy everything?
It depends on its value. It depends on the inventory's value, the comments that you're getting. If it's something like supplements, a lot of times you just want to trash it. If it's personal care, you want to trash it. If it's something that could get ruined and being shipped back to you. So another good tip, if you've never used Amazon fulfillment centers, is that when they ship inventory back to you from a removal order, they're not packing it carefully. They've pretty much been trained that this is like taking out the trash. So they will put it in they use whatever box they're overstocked on. So I'm sure you've gotten items before from Amazon where
Yes.
it's like a pack of gum and it's in a box this big, right?
Yes. Drives
So
me bonkers.
it drives everyone bonkers. When you think about I'm not even some big like super environmentalist, and I get really upset because I'm like, that took up extra space on that shipment, so it used more fuel. It was super inefficient. Just the inefficiency drives me out of my mind. Forget the environmental impact, which is obviously huge, but just efficiency, that's a thing of mine.
I agree.
It's like my OCD thing. Like, how much more could you have gotten in that shipment? It saved all this fuel, and it's bad for the environment. It's expensive. But anyway, they're using whatever is available. So when they send your returns back to you, you can expect breakage of 20 to 30% or more that you're going to have to toss out because of the shipping. And then there's going to be more in there that you want to get rid of because it's scuffed. It was in the warehouse too long. It was a return that's in bad condition. The packaging's opened or whatever. So just know that when you have stuff shipped back to you, probably about 60 or 65% of it will be something you consider resellable as new, maybe less. And a lot of folks, they'll have stuff returned to them and they just sell their returns on eBay.
Okay.
And they don't ship it all at once all the time. I know for some of our 3PL clients, they've issued a removal order. I remember one specifically. It was like 1,000 units. And I think for months, we were receiving like 2 of them, 3 of them, like every single day, just a few. And every single time that happened, well, the 3PL has to charge the client, an inbound shipment receipt and then inspecting that. And every time that you're hit with these fees, particularly from a 3PL or from if you're even getting them yourself, that's another thing that you have to do that day. I mean, it's so much more to think about. And a lot of times I feel like it's worth just destroying.
It's coming from all those different warehouses.
Right.
So each warehouse might only have 5 units. Or someone had time on their shift to pick this many because this is what they do at the end of their shift, right? When you've already fulfilled all the orders that are in your queue, if there's time left, they do it. And that's why a lot of times you don't get them for months because they didn't have time. And they do consider it trash. You cannot make them do it faster. You cannot get your stuff back faster. But you're absolutely right. One time I had to do a removal order on something. And for like a week, we came home to these mountains by the front door of padded envelopes with like 2 units, 3 units. One time I swear it was 2 feet high. And it was it was all these individual, it was really bad. I think we've all experienced that once or twice. It's terrible the way you get and then you'll get random things. Like I did a removal order for some hand lotion. I got socks. Not my socks. Never seen the socks before. They were lovely socks. I gave them to my kid. Because they were men's extra large. I was like, woo, they'll actually fit him. So this is what can happen. So you've got to be prepared. And like you said, if you're going back to a 3PL and you're getting charged per shipment, if it's not an expensive product, it might not be worth it. You might want to destroy it. However, a lot of people who won't sell on Amazon, so they find this buy with Prime an attractive function they can add to their website. The reason they're doing that is they're trying to control their distribution. They're trying to have channel control. If you ship inventory to Amazon, you have lost some amount of your channel control. Because when you ask them to destroy something, they don't destroy it. They put it in their liquidation pile. So they will sell it or they'll throw it into these giant pallets and they liquidate it out of the back of the warehouse. So just know that if you do that, that product could pop up again on Amazon being resold by someone who bought a liquidation load out of Amazon. So if you want true channel control, you always have to ask for a removal order of those items. And then in rare cases, they will lose your inventory. They will reimburse you for it. And then they will find it and Amazon Warehouse Deals will sell it.
Amazon Warehouse Deals. What is that?
That's their own selling. That's their own store that they use to sell the stuff that they found. In
stuff
there.
Squirreled away.
Yeah.
Or that they lost, right? They lost it and then they reimbursed you and then they found it. So they technically paid for it. And so they owned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Now, sort of follow up to, we talked a lot about, going, the brands using Amazon Pay and using Buy with Prime, and the customers going into their Prime account most likely and issuing that or starting that return. How does that work with the Shopify store? Is that directly integrated? Like, does Amazon hold your payments for 2 weeks like they do for an FBA account, and then they'll pay you out?
So I don't know the answer to that yet, but I am assuming that is what will happen because they always want to be holding some amount of money. That gives them control, and it ensures that if there's any kind of fraud going on, any money laundering they detect, any kind of problematic behavior, which y'all, it happens in so many ways. You can't assume that just because this is FBA inventory, essentially, that they're holding, that people will not use this to break the law, to launder money, to do all the things, to conduct fraud. It happens. So they want to have some control over money to make sure that you are going to behave.
Wow.
Yeah, and I guess I was where that was leading to was, how does that return process or that refund process even happen? Do you as a Shopify owner have to contact the customer and issue that refund directly? Or I guess, do you know how that works?
So Amazon would do it directly out of your balance that they are holding as part of Amazon Payments, because you have an Amazon Payments account that's doing this. So they're going to debit that directly out of that Amazon Payments account.
Okay. And are they still being hit with that 15% referral fee that they usually get from FBA sales?
So you will get the referral fee back. You will eat the pick and pack fee.
Okay. So Amazon still charges you 15% if you're using the Buy with Prime.
Yes. So they charge a referral fee and they charge pick and pack. And then there's all of the random stuff like storage fees, right? So when it'll be treated the same way as Amazon.com, that you will get the referral fee back because you did not make the sale, but the pick and pack fee is gone because they picked it, they packed it, they shipped it.
Yeah.
It's an operational expense. Okay. Yeah. That seems, do you have more information as to like what exactly the 15% referral fee is? Like what it means? Because from my understanding, a referral fee would be 15% for Amazon hosting it on their website, and you pay them the 15% because they had a spot for you, basically your platform fee or something like that. Is there like a different explanation as to what a referral fee is exactly?
I've been assuming the referral fee would be lower. And they may not even call it a referral fee. It may be a payments fee.
Okay. Like a process.
So they haven't released the full payment schedule yet. So I'm assuming it's going to be less, and that the majority of the expense is going to be the pick and pack and the storage, which the storage can add up, y'all. So watch that.
And out of curiosity, because we've talked a lot about 3PLs on the show, and we've had a few that have talked about seller fulfilled Prime, basically just using your own warehouse and that you're showing through an SLA and data to Amazon that you could fulfill within those 2 days. Is seller fulfilled Prime qualified for Buy with Prime?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think there would be any point, because the real point of Buy with Prime is Amazon fulfilling the order.
Well, I would think more so like the Prime badge, right? Almost having that badge of like, this product is on Shopify, but you have a Prime badge, which sort of gives you that consumer confidence of it's going to be there in 2 days, versus if I see it on a website, we were just furniture shopping and something said it was going to take, 6 days. And I was like, there's no way in this supply chain environment that you are going to deliver this. And we got the notification it's going to be delivered like mid-July. So that's where it's like, as a consumer, I don't have confidence that a Shopify site would be able to fulfill to me within 2 days unless I saw a Prime badge. So I wasn't sure if you could take advantage of that.
I don't know. I would be surprised if you could, and I'll tell you why. It's Amazon technically isn't accepting applications for seller fulfilled Prime right now, although they will. if you harangue them. They are not awarding them as easily as they used to if you manage to get into the trial. People are failing like crazy on seller fulfilled Prime. And the reason is because unlike merchant fulfilled, regular old merchant fulfilled, where you're shipping out your orders, with seller fulfilled Prime, they are judging you based on the carrier performance, not just your performance, right? So with merchant fulfilled, if your carrier performance gets super out of line, yeah, they'll take away your merchant fulfilled shipping privileges. But there is some understanding that you can only control so much. When you move over to seller fulfilled Prime, it's as though you're suddenly the carrier too, and you have to have all this great performance. We have clients that we've had to appeal getting their seller fulfilled Prime privileges back 5 and 6 times in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And these are not people who are doing a bad job. This is circumstances out of their control. This is also the craziness of the one day. So we all know that seller fulfilled Prime is supposed to be for 2-day shipping.
Yeah.
But you have to offer one day to a certain percentage of the population and have to be able to deliver on that, which is very difficult. So you're looking at needing 8 to 10 fulfillment locations scattered around the United States to be able to actually succeed at that. So, there are people who succeed with seller fulfilled Prime, but you've got to have a 3PL who really has it together and has a lot of locations and is willing to fulfill your orders from 8 to 10 locations which a lot of 3PLs aren't, for good reason.
Right.
So I don't know if it would have any purpose, and I don't know if they would award that badge for seller fulfilled Prime, but oh golly, most people I think who are opting for this, it's because they just can't get it done on the shipping for the 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
I'm excited to see it.
The buy with Prime?
Yeah, because I haven't seen it anywhere. I also don't shop very often on like Shopify sites, I don't think.
I don't use Amazon Pay. So I don't even know because I just put my credit card in. And I don't know what the difference is. I also don't use like Samsung Pay or like Google Pay or like let me just give you my card number that I have memorized and move along with my day.
I'm with you. I have the autofill magic on my PC, right? With my card number. That's my preferred card and cling.
See, I don't even like the autofill because I don't like them keeping that info. That's why I just have it memorized.
They know it already. They keep it somewhere. They just don't show you that they keep it.
Let me continue to think that I have some control over my data, which I know I don't. Lesley, yes.
I'm sorry. And you just reminded me of one quick thing to know.
Okay.
Because you said data. The one super exciting thing about Buy with Prime is that the store owner, the brand, owns the customer data. So if you are selling as an FBA seller, as a seller on Amazon, you do not own the customer data. You can scrape for it. And if you scrape for it, you're violating terms of service. If you're using Buy with Prime on your own Shopify site or other e-commerce site, you own that customer data and it belongs to you and you can do anything you want with it. So I just had to throw that out there. Sorry.
Yeah. I can't believe we didn't bring that up before. Because I had that thought and I was like, oh yeah, it's like selling on Amazon, but you can talk to your people. Didn't bring it up. Don't know why. We've had that conversation so much about not owning the data. You're right. That's a very key point to remember. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lesley. Before you go, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of tell us what a best fit client would look like to work with Riverbend Consulting, and then also to let us know where we can find more information.
Thank you so much. So we love working with Amazon sellers and vendors of any size. If you're on Amazon and you've got a problem, you've got an old suspended account, suspended ASIN, you need your reimbursements, we would love to talk to you. Check out our website at riverbendconsulting.com. We have a phone number there where we actually answer the phones. We have people who will talk to you. And so if you just have a question and want to know if it's something we can help with, we would love to chat with you. And if it's not our thing, we'll refer you to someone who can help you. And also, I love it when people connect with me on LinkedIn. I have hot, fresh new Amazon content on there all the time. So just go on over to LinkedIn and put in my name, Lesley Hensell, or search Riverbend. I'll pop right up.
You absolutely will. And she does have hot, fresh content, friends. I promise you that. And again, that website is riverbendconsulting.com. Lesley, thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. It's great to finally put a name with a face with a company. Because like I said, we've known Riverbend from all the events and stuff. And then when you got sent to my email, I was like, Riverbend. Oh, her. Oh.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. This has been really fun.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everybody who tuned in today. If you guys liked what you heard, be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment with your thoughts, share this episode with your friends, subscribe to the show, and be sure to turn on those notifications. And that way you never miss a conversation with leaders in supply chain and e-commerce like Lesley with Riverbend Consulting. And thank you so much. We will talk to everybody very soon.
Bye, guys.